In this video, we'll help you set up AudioCipher on your Windows device. After purchase, you'll receive a downloadable zip folder. I have it here in my downloads. Let's begin by clicking on it and selecting Extract All. In this folder, you'll see that we have the Windows installer, as well as a README file that explains how the app works, and an AUCI file. This is a collection of audio and MIDI files that can be loaded into AudioCipher, and you can use them for your projects whether you're running AudioCipher as a standalone application or a plugin. Let's begin by double-clicking the installer. If you receive a security message, click More Info and select Run Anyway. And then proceed through the installation process, and be sure to leave everything set to the default file paths. Once the installation is complete, you can go ahead and close. Now that the installation process is complete, you've received AudioCipher as a standalone application, and you've received a VST3 file. If you were an AudioCipher user prior to installing this latest version, your VST3 file will update automatically. Let's take a quick look at where that VST3 file is stored. So begin by opening this PC and then go into your C drive. And then here you'll want to choose the Program Files folder that corresponds to the type of Windows operating system you're running, so either 64 or 32-bit. I'm running with a 64-bit, so let's open this one, and you'll want to go into Common Files, and now you'll see this VST3 folder here, and a new AudioCipher Technologies folder that contains your VST3 plugin file. Let's set up AudioCipher as a VST3 plugin in Ableton Live. If you've just installed AudioCipher, it's important to make sure that Ableton can detect it as a plugin, so you'll need to scan your device for new plugins. To do this, use the keyboard command Control, and then go to the Plugins tab in your preferences, and you'll notice that Ableton lists two separate VST3 folders. One is the System folder, and another is a Custom folder. Just be sure to toggle on whichever one you've added AudioCipher to. If you've already installed a previous version of AudioCipher, the updated VST3 will automatically replace the one that's currently stored in your System folder. And just to clarify the System folder, it's located in the C drive under Program Files, Common Files, and VST3. When the scan is complete, you'll see AudioCipher listed as a plugin in the Ableton directory. We recommend starting your Ableton session with two MIDI tracks. One of these will be for AudioCipher and the other for a separate virtual instrument. In this case, I've just loaded up a patch in Serum. And then we also recommend setting up an audio track so that you can pull audio out of AudioCipher into Ableton Live. So let's start by dragging AudioCipher onto this empty MIDI track. Now I'm going to open the MIDI generator, and let's set up a chord progression that we can use. I'm just going to move the app to the side here so we can drag MIDI onto the Serum track over here. So let's just adjust some of these initial settings. Maybe we'll say we want to set this to E minor and make a chord progression with 7th chords, and then we can type in live as the word that we want to convert to MIDI notes. So we can play this back in AudioCipher to see if the chord progression that it generates is something we want to use. All right, and if that sounds good, you can click and hold the drag to MIDI button, and I'm just going to put this right here on the Serum track so we can hear it in the context of the synth that we might be using for our song. So I've opened it up here in the piano roll so we can take a closer look at the notes generated by AudioCipher. So let's go ahead and play this back. So you don't need to use exactly what AudioCipher generates for you. We recommend using it as a starting point to inspire new ideas or test different chord voicings that you may not have thought of otherwise. So in this case, maybe we like the chords that were generated, but we want to make a couple adjustments. So let's say we want to pitch this down an octave and then open the chord voicings just a little bit. So I'm just going to select some of these notes and shift those up an octave. And now we have a slightly different voicing for the same chords. When you're happy with your edits, we recommend exporting the MIDI so that you can pull it into AudioCipher and add it to a card. That way you can come back to it later and repurpose it as needed. To export the MIDI file, you can right-click and select export MIDI clip or use the keyboard shortcut Control-Shift-E. We recommend saving this in a dedicated MIDI folder on your device so it's easy to locate. So I'm just going to label this Live MIDI and save it here. Now let's return to AudioCipher and create a new card using our prompt Live. So I'm just going to click on the New Card button down here, and you'll see that we have a new card here in the card view titled Live. And you'll notice there's already a MIDI file here. This is the original chord progression generated by AudioCipher, but let's go ahead and import the one that we just edited. To do that, click Add Files at the top right and do a quick search for the MIDI file that you just exported from Ableton. Once you've tracked it down, click Open, and you'll see that listed here in the MIDI files list. You can do the same thing for audio, so maybe we want to export this as an audio clip using the sound produced by this Serum synth. So to do that, if you right-click and select Freeze Track, then right-click again and select Flatten, it'll convert this to an audio file, and you can see the waveform down here. So now we can export this as a WAV file and pull that into the same card in AudioCipher. You can export the audio by clicking on the clip and using the keyboard shortcut Control-Shift-R. And again, we recommend saving this in a dedicated audio folder on your device so it's easy to find. So I've just labeled this Live Audio, and we can go ahead and save. And again, we can return to AudioCipher, click Add Files, and do a search for that new audio file. Select the file and click Open, and now you see that listed here in the audio files list. You can play it back using the play button on the left, or if you need to remove it, you can use the little X button on the far right.